Hey, so it's great to actually be back at NOAH. Last time I spoke was in 2017. Co-founder, CEO of 1plusX. Let me introduce you to what we actually kind of do to make marketers and publishers successful in the digital age. So first of all, oops, let's see. Here we go. So first of all, actually, kind of who is 1plusX? We're a software as a service startup based in Switzerland. We've been around for 5 years now, founded by two ex-Google guys. One is me. We are actually kind of growing quite steadily and fast, focused on Europe. We are a predictive data management platform, but also a customer data platform that we actually kind of run. How big is the data-driven marketing size overall? So we all know advertising spend is pretty huge, 1.3 trillion. That's what we learned from last year. Marketing technology, so the technology that is really taking care about marketing expenditures, finding the right users, giving them the right message, is about 90 billion. Data tech, so the technology that is purely taking care of managing the data that is associated within this marketing technology, is about 2.5 billion last year. However, this is actually set to grow quite quickly. We expected, and most of the studies that we have investigated expected to grow to 8 billion in the next 4 to 5 years. Approximately 50% of that goes towards the marketers and the other 50% towards publishers. So buy and sell side in the language of this industry. Marketers are really catching up. So historically, they have not really invested that much in data technology, but also the trends that Ori laid out, a lot of different touch points, brings them to invest more into this data technology to improve their marketing activities. So what are the typical use cases of marketers in this context? So a marketer, typically had a CRM system, has his customers that are linked in his company, but today the marketer is actually challenged by a lot of additional touch points. So we see web, we see commerce, we see actually kind of email still, we see call centers, we see a lot of different touch points. Users are approaching the marketer from the different touch points. So you might have Mia that is actually kind of approaching you through your e-commerce, sends you an email, and so on and so forth. But the problem that the marketers generally have is like, how do I do an identity matching from these different touch points into one person? So how do I bring all this together? CRM systems don't do that. A DSP does not do that. So they really need to take care of their data. They need a technology very often now called a customer data platform to bring all this together. What are the benefits, or what the marketer actually kind of wants from it? First, holistic user understanding. He really wants to understand his users. He wants to know where they access his services, his products. He wants to use it for personalization. We already learned today that personalization is really big. So you need a good user understanding, customer understanding to drive forward your personalization, and obviously also for cost saving. Because if you know who is already using your product, you don't need to advertise to this person anymore. On the other side, we actually have the media companies, the sell side of the industry, the publishers. What are publishers doing with respect to data technology? Well, they also have a challenge. They have a lot of digital touch points, mostly web, mobile, but also video. They bring it together in a kind of anonymous environment. Most of their users are not really logged in, so they don't really know the specific users, and they have to create what we call a anonymized profile. So for them, user profiling is relevant. They do it, even though GDPR is out there. There are a lot of actually kind of activities around this, obviously GDPR compliant. They actually needed to increase their reach. Today, advertisers don't just buy inventory. They want to reach users. They want to reach actually individuals. They want to know whom am I really showing my advertising. And they want to improve their targeting results. every advertiser is measuring his, targeting, and he actually kind of, comes into a situation where he really wants to learn which publisher is providing the best targeting. So having a good understanding of your users on the publisher side is really important. One of the problems in this data tech ecosystem, marketing ecosystem that we see is that obviously you have two worlds here, right? You have the publishers that run their data management platforms. You have the marketers that run their CRM system, customer data platforms. Marketers focus very much on the individuals. They really want to know who is behind this. They have less data, but high quality data. And the media companies, they focus on volume. They want to have a lot of users. They don't know that much about the user, but most of it in an anonymous way. So nevertheless, they have to work together. So a marketer works with a media company to get the eyeballs for his future customers. The media company is actually pushing its users towards the marketers. The problem is the translation, right? So if one side is actually really focusing on individual users, customers, they know, they have a lot of information about it. The other side is actually kind of focusing more on the anonymized web. Then I think there's a translation issue. We see that a lot when we are in the industry. You have these persona descriptions. You have a lot of marketers investing in what would be my typical customer, how can I reach this typical customer, but the translation towards the media companies, which is often done by a media agency, is actually quite difficult. So what we see in the industry is that you don't need to have two boxes, you should have one box. You should have one integrated view where a marketer can actually kind of work to understand his users, and the media company can actually kind of work to really understand its users in the same way. So, surprise, 1plusX is actually kind of building this, has built it. So we do a lot of services in one big system, one big software as a service platform that we call our data platform, marketing data platform, for consolidating the data, for audience building, segmentation, customer prospecting, a lot of different environment features in that platform. Obviously, really core is identity management and GDPR compliant, also an integrated system, which is really crucial, that at the end leads to a situation where you can find individuals not just on the marketer side, but also on the publisher side, and you can do even more. You can actually really do customer prospecting, identify users that have a high fit to a marketer's needs. So no more separated systems, actually really one integrated platform. We believe this is the future. Publishers or media companies are really, really interested in this. Advertisers as well, because they have a problem to securely onboard their customer data somewhere, to understand it, and to actually kind of, improve their marketing lifecycle from working with their data and not just with some third-party data that is anyway going to disappear. So why is this actually happening only now? So somebody would say like, wow, this is around, has been around, the idea and all of that has been around for quite a while. The reason is really big data and AI. So to really implement this, you need a lot of data, and you actually really need machine learning, deep learning, all these technologies that we have been learning a lot about it. So, identity matching, bringing together all this touchpoint information is really what is relevant there is having a lot of data and also doing machine learning, but also profile building, audience expansion, enriching your audiences, and customer prospecting requires a lot of specific machine learning skills and obviously a lot of data. Now, that's why we see a lot of these companies around that actually kind of offer these kind of services, I think. As I said, like we bring it together into this data platform. What we actually kind of see from an ecosystem perspective is that you have, first of all, only a neutral body can actually kind of really offer this. You need a neutral body. many of the advertisers don't really want to go and send their data to Google, to Facebook, to these large companies. Some don't even want to send their data or share their data with large European publishers. So that is really relevant. You need an EU approach. So Europe is really different than the rest of the world, mostly because of its legislation. You need a walled garden that is not really an option. So the walled gardens are no option, really. Why? Because as a large marketer, you don't just want to do search advertising. You want to do search, social, video, local publishers, and so on and so forth. Well, we have done this now for quite some years. We have generated a lot of value in the industry. I don't really want to jump into all of these examples, but the approach really works. That's the core message. We generate a lot of value for our customers, and we are really proud that we have very, very excellent customer relationships that are growing as we speak. So that's my last slide. I'm actually kind of over time, if I believe the counter here. So thank you very much for your attention. If you have further questions, contact me. I'm available today and tomorrow. Thank you very much.